Happy Friday, everybody, August 28th. I'm your buddy Choppadong, and of course, this is the MLB Rundown brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things daily fantasy sports. Head down to the comments section, get in here using coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, and trigger that 20% off discount that unlocks every tool, every sport, every coach for you to become a better DFS player instantly. And we've got baseball again today, so we're going to dive on into the MLB rundown. But later, I'm going to show you a little bit of a tip that's kind of more of a mental thing than anything, so you're going to want to stick around for that. And while you're here, like and subscribe the video, ring the notification bell, so that you get new videos dropped to your phone each and every time I drop one. Very frequent Monday through Friday, not very frequent on the weekends, but not never. So you're going to want those notifications turned on. We dive into the MLB research tool at DFSArmy.com is perhaps my favorite research tool in the industry. I'm biased, but it has my little section here, Chop Shop, and that's what I sort by at first. I use the starting pitching matchups tab. I sort by K-score. Take a look at some of these names and see who has a strong strikeout matchup today. That's essentially what that number is going to give you. Tristan McKenzie's obviously on a small sample size, but Max Scherzer, Zach Gallen, Corbin Burns, Andrew Heaney, Ponce de Leon are the types of pitchers that you might be looking for in your tournaments or your cash games, probably Max Scherzer still. But that's the idea of who is in a good spot to perform, maybe has a high floor like a Max Scherzer, but also has the ability to test their ceiling today. Those are the players that you're going to want to be heavy on in your constructions and your builds more times than not. Sort by ascending order on the W score side. That's WOBA focused. That's going to help us find bats. I'm going to push the crap to the bottom of the barrel where it belongs, and we're going to be focused on these bottom few pitchers. I also look at this stat page here, this little section that has fly ball percentage, walk per 9, K percentage, home run per 9, whip, and SIERA. Love me some high SIERA. That is the number that the pitcher should be pitching towards, in his ERA. If his ERA is a 3.0 and his SIERA is a 5.2, dude is going to get rocked eventually, or he's going to have a lot of subpar starts until that number normalizes. So I'm looking for people like Tyler Anderson. Maybe a Freeland or a Lopez, but on this slate, see, like we were stacking against Freeland hardcore just a few days ago. But maybe not so much on this slate because his matchups, maybe it's not that it's good. It's not that he's a good pitcher all of a sudden. It's that by comparison to the rest of the slate, there are other places that we would rather attack. That's all daily fantasy sports is constant evaluation of what does today present and how do we attack it. So I'm looking more to stack against Sanchez, Anderson, Mergevicius, McCullers even maybe a little bit, Burns, Erlin, Freeland, whatever. So as we scroll over to find, because I'm like home run per 9, 3.6, 2.0, those are big numbers. These are definitely guys I'm going to want to stack against personally. Carry a lot of weight on the Arizona and Tampa Bay stacks today. LA, Oakland, Pittsburgh, Philly, all going to be in there. Padres at Coors, etc. These are the types of guys that I'm going to be looking to bring into the fold in building many, many, many lineups. If I was just building a few lineups, I might stick to these guys towards the bottom. But if I'm building a lot of lineups, I'm going to have a lot more exposure to everybody that has a fighting chance, if that makes sense. Now, I'm going to dive into the batting matchups page, since we have an idea of what team stacks we're looking for. And we should see confirmation over here when we sort this number by W score too. This just looks more not on a team level anymore, more on an individual level, but we bring these guys to the top. When you see big numbers like this, you're probably going to see players all from the same team. When we scroll back over, we see it's all Tampa Bay today. Well, Tampa Bay was one of the bottom two stacks on the previous tab, so it stands to reason they're somebody we're going to want to key on in our stacks. I eliminate them sometimes and then see if another team pops to the top. There's San Diego, a little bit of Milwaukee. Milwaukee, interesting. We didn't mention them. And so that might be somebody who all of a sudden gains a little favor with me, and that might be a sneaky one that not everybody else is going to see. That would provide me some leverage in some tournaments. Where in tournaments I don't need to be right every single time. People get frustrated day in and day out, but I don't need to be right every single time. I just need to be right some of the time. I need to be really, really right some of the time, but this is the type of opportunity for Milwaukee that might present that for us. So I turn Tampa Bay back on, and now I'm just going to go by position. I'm going to click on my catchers, and I didn't filter out by the 580 that I usually do, so we're going to have to scan over and see where that number cuts off. Sorry to make you dizzy today, but what, about 3 or 4 batters down? So Zunino, Pena, Carson Kelly, and Yasmani Grandal would be players that I would write down and boost in my projections on the optimizers. I look at first base, which should be a little bit more than 3 or 4 players. We'll drop all the way down to, say, 600 on a big slate. We're down to around Freeman or Rizzo. So that would be Encarnacion, Moreland, Olson, Bell, Braun, Miller, right? So that's about 6, 7 first basemen that we would look at there. And on a big slate, that's okay. Come down here to around this number here, 3 or 4. So Frazier, Hero, Wong, Marte. I know this looks like trivial research, but guys, it's all it takes to spot the better plays. Now, if you're going to build 2 or 3 lineups, then you're going to want to split hairs among these players, but these should be the players in your player pool. Drop all the way down to 600 at third base. Matt Carpenter, Tommy Edman, Kyle Seager, Rendon, Machado, Diaz. Would much rather have those guys than a Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter's just not. Matt Carpenter's living off of a longer sample size, to be quite honest with you. He's just not been performing the past year or so. All right, down here is this our outfield? So shortstops, so a little bit more of a shallow position, but still not too bad. Ahmed, Anderson, Tatis, and Willie Adams, Adams, whatever you want to call him. Doesn't really matter to me. He's in a good spot today, so he'll be on my teams. Scroll over to the outfield, and that's going to be our deepest position. That's going to run all the way down to about here. So David Peralta, well, there's your boy Hilliard. Peralta, Polanco, Trout, Schwarber, Soler, Reynolds, Calhoun. No real surprises in there. They're just the guys that are in good matchups today. So I would boost all of their numbers in my projections. So there you have it, 7 minutes or less, and you've got the slate basically dissected. You can take that now out to your optimizers. Use that only as your player pool. And if you've got a couple of punt-priced guys in there, you can very easily build 1 or 2 lineups off of it that have a fighting chance. You don't need the guys way down the list here. But what I want you to understand, when we're talking about, I guess I had this in my head earlier today, and I'm trying to think of how to convey this to you guys. But building 1 lineup versus building a lot of lineups is sort of like sports betting, if you will. Picking, if I only picked 1 pick, that'd be like building 1 DFS lineup. And if I went into some player prop and I liked Kyler Murray this season for the over at 25.5 touchdowns, okay, then that's it. I put my budget is $10,000, and I put 10 grand on Kyler Murray to throw over 25.5 touchdowns. My whole season, or my whole DFS slate for my 1 lineup, hinges on that 1 pick, that 1 construction, that 1 lineup. My whole day. If it does bad, I'm broke. If it does great, I'm fine. I would rather take that $10,000 budget personally, and I'd rather break it up. I'd rather maybe, okay, so I like Kyler Murray. I like Lamar Jackson, let's say under, 3,200 yards this year. I may go to another place and say Super Bowl. Maybe I want a long shot, something in the 100-to-1 range. So I put of my $10,000, say $500 on the Detroit Lions, because now here's what you're going to start doing. You can look at other things. You've got some bigger long shots here at who's going to win. If I was only building 1 or 2 DFS lineups, I'd probably build them rather safe. I'd probably stick to the chalkier plays. That's not going to pay as well. I should be putting it in contests like 50-50s and double ups and things, because it's just not going to return on my investment. I'm trying to play safe. I don't want to lose that money. As I expand, though, and start taking more picks or start building more lineups, I can start taking some chances, because it's not about that 1 particular lineup anymore. It doesn't make or break me. It's about the collection of lineups that I'm building. That's basically the mass multi-entry philosophy. That's why I like it so much. I used to build 3 lineups for my daily fantasy ladders, and now I've gone into full-blown MME, because I like the choices. I like doing the research that's going to put me on the plays and selecting a player pool of, say, 4 or 5 offenses, maybe even 10 baseball offenses on the night. Somebody's going to do well. I'm not so stuck on boom or bust, do or die, that one stack of Rockies at Coors Field. Because when it fails, I'm screwed. Okay, that's not what I like doing. I like to diversify. Yes, I'm capping my upside, but I can also take some risk with small portions of that $10,000 that I mentioned in sports betting. I could put $100 on Carson Wentz, and if Carson Wentz pays back at 2,500 to 1, he's going to give me 25 grand. So it paid off all my other crap that all that other stuff could lose. That's kind of what you're doing with your MME stuff too. If you're building, say, 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 150 lineups, take some chances to win these big tournaments, because when you win the tournament, it pays off all of the losing. And it usually pays off yesterday's and the day before's and the week before's and the 2 weeks before and the month's worth of losing all in one shot. So if you don't like playing the one lineup game, some people do, and that's great. But if you don't like playing the one lineup game because you don't like being all in or boom or bust on a certain collection of players, you would rather instead have, say, 3 quarterbacks instead of just one, 5 running backs, 10 wide receivers, 3 defenses, 4 tight ends. And because I can't pick the absolute one that's going to go off all the time, I'm going to be disappointed. I would rather spread out a little bit and I can pick 3 or 4 tight ends, and one of them's going to have a good day. Maybe even 2 or 3 of them are going to have a good day, but somebody's still going to bust. I don't want that guy in all of my lineups. I want to mix and match. I love playing that way. I play on a little bit larger player pool, always have. This has just given me the ability to maximize that potential. Take some risk that will pay off everything that I've done over the past, say, few slates or dozen slates or more. And it allows me to really start to not worry so much about, oh no, what if I picked that pitcher wrong? I don't care. I've got 10 pitchers tonight. Somebody's going to be fine. I don't care. I also increase my odds of catching that one dude that goes off, that Anthony Rendon that scores 90 points, that Scooter Gennett that hits 4 home runs in a game. Scooter Gennett would never be in my 1, 2, or 3 lineup package, but he'll be in my 100 lineup package somewhere, and that may be the lineup that breaks the tournament open for me and pays me back all of the money that I laid out. I enjoy that. I enjoy covering my losses by betting on things that are going to pay back more than what I'm laying out. If that appeals to you, we need to talk about that more, because like I said, it just hit me this morning. It just kind of came to me, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try to talk about it a little bit. The more I talk about it, the more it will articulate, the more it will make sense. And if that's the kind of conversation you want to have, you need to come into DFS Army and you need to start asking those questions. We will answer those questions back and forth until we find the right way to explain it to you. That's what we do for every sport, every tool that we have, every site that we cover, everything. But you can only do it as a VIP, so you need to get in here and you need to use the coupon code CHOP, get that 20% off, and start asking those questions. Today's Paycheck Friday. I know you got paid. Why not take a leap of faith on yourself and take your DFS game to the next level? I'm your buddy Chapadong. This is the MLB Rundown for Friday, August 28th. Y'all have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again early in the week next week. Peace out.